Yeah, we're here again with my brother. Now, we're going to get straight to the point. My question or my subject for you or for us today is we're going to speak about the aliens. Now, when I say the aliens over I say about at least the last 5 to 10 years, lots of information, lots of old historical background information concerning this has came out. Whereas even astronauts, former NASA workers, whistleblowers, military, people are coming out at an all-time high, I believe, or at least since, I have to say, about the 60s, as far as information dealing with aliens and things of that sort. Basically right now, what are your views? Do you believe they exist? If they did exist, do you believe they helped us? They helped us to the good, to the bad? Overall, just a little view on the subject.
Well, first of all, anybody who sit there and say out of the whole universe where there's trillions of stars, which means out of those trillions of stars there's planets surrounding these stars, rotating them, you cannot possibly say out of a trillion stars that we're the only living organism in the whole universe. That'll just be ignorant. Not saying that there's other humanoids or creatures just like us, but to say there's nothing else living in the rest of the universe would be dumb in the first part. Two, if you look at history, why would a caveman or an indigenous people draw a picture of an alien? Exactly. Or a shape of a humanoid that doesn't look human but has human characteristics? Why would they even draw that? What would be their purpose of making up something like that?
Exactly. Like I've actually said to you once before, if you go back in time, like the Sumerians and things of that sort, which date back to what we call today Iraq, what also used to be known as Babylon, but anyway, they have sculptures and stuff of humanoid looking creatures that look like reptilian.
Yeah.
And like I've asked you, in them days and times, if we found out how to make sculptures like this that's still preserved to this day in the same condition, why wouldn't I make you and you make me? Why would we sit here and dream up something that's not real instead of making us? If this is like I said, just think, if you just learned how to do this and you're there with your friend or whoever, wouldn't you tell that person, hey, well, you make me and I'm gonna make you? And
like I said before, my whole thing, like you just said, what would be their purpose of making up this stuff? Why, when you create writing, because that's what the Sumerians did, but for right now that we know of, they had the first written language. Why, when your first written language, you would write fiction?
Exactly.
Not something to preserve your culture or write about your history, nothing like that. You would write fiction. So you would just make up flying beings and entities and stuff like that. Why would you make that up when you first perfected the art of writing that we know of right now? So to me, to sit there and say that, oh, they were just storytelling and they had an active imagination, really? What did they have to dream up and conjure up these things? They didn't have TV. They didn't have books. They didn't have radio. This was all them just observing the sky. Think about it. If you at night in the middle of the damn woods and you don't have nothing, you're not going to stay amongst the trees. You're going to lay on your back and you're going to stargaze. And who is to say that when they were stargazing, they didn't see certain anomalies or things that came down to talk to them? People may say, well, why don't the aliens come down now? You see how fucking violent we are right now? Why in the hell would you come down and interact with us right now when you automatically know that governments or armies, the first thing they're going to do is destroy and kill, then experiment? So if these beings travel way back then, they already got enough sense to know that we're a violent culture, and the first thing we do when we see something we don't understand, we destroy it first, then ask questions. So why would they come down and interact with us now? Back then, we was a more peaceful people. We didn't have a whole lot of weapons and technology, so we really won't no ultimate threat. Not saying that we really are now, but it'll be a big headache right now. Back then, it wasn't a headache. They could actually come down and interact with us one-on-one. Why wouldn't they?
And like I've also said, the people that don't believe, then I also have to say that you have to look at certain things in this world as well, as far as technology. You have to look, the pyramids that we have. There's some pyramids out there, I believe it was the Giza pyramid. They said to this day, it would take 10 cranes to lift one stone to make the pyramid, just one stone. So somewhere along the line, something had to come in. And another example of that is about 1,000 years ago. You have to understand, as a people, we only was horse and buggy. Within 1,000 years, we went from horse and buggy.
It's less than 1,000 years. You got to realize in the damn 1800s, we were still riding horses. So how the hell did you jump from horses in the 1800s and 1900s? We got automobiles.
We got not even automobiles. If you believe it, we been to the moon.
Yeah, and we flying. How did you jump from a horse less than 100 years ago to all of a sudden not having no vehicles, and all of a sudden you landing on the damn moon walking around
with nothing, no help?
Exactly.
I find that hard to believe, and like I said, even if you want to look at something small like a car. Nobody can. It's hard to find a person that can really tell you step by step how to make a car from scratch. So, if that mean anything,
I just want to get on the thing where we call UFOs like flying saucers. But basically, the reason why we call them a flying saucer is if you take a regular saucer and you flip it upside down and you take another one, you put it on top of it. That's what we basically saying that the UFO look like. We call it a flying saucer based off a description of something that we see and we have now. So for all those people to sit there and say, well, they said it was a flying dragon. What's smoke coming from? Well, if you look at an airplane, to them, that may look like a dragon.
Yeah, especially you ain't never seen that.
That's something they try to describe to their time. So let's please knock all that nonsense where they say, well, they was saying it was a flying bird. Well, the only thing they knew that flew back in those days were birds. So when they see something else flying in the sky, they gonna call it a bird. Mm-hmm. So let's not discredit them because they didn't have the terminology that we have now to explain these things. Just because they named them after animals doesn't make them any less legitimate. That's all they knew at that time that they actually saw that they could describe it with, would be an animal. And at that time, the only thing that was flying through the sky was, guess what? Birds.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. So how do you feel? Do you feel they interact with us today in any capacity?
So that's a tricky subject because, and when you look at life and society, who can you really trust? I mean, the government tell us, okay, we don't have no contact, we don't know what you're talking about. But you're also saying when you look at wars and stuff like that, a lot of times we get into wars off false pretenses. Mm-hmm. Let's look at 9/11. When 9/11 was Afghanistan, but all of a sudden we go in Iraq. They say had weapons of mass destruction. They did. This is also the same government that gave the Tuskegee Airmen syphilis. This is also the same country that tricked the Indians into reservations, that started the fake Mexican-American War. So our government has always had a history of lying to achieve their ultimate goal, a goal that most Americans don't even know about. So to say that there is a possibility, to say that they haven't interacted is another one. But there's one case back in the 1960s, I forgot the white couple that said they actually been abducted. All other abductions after that, yeah, it could be true. Everybody could just be copycatting what they said. But let's look at that first couple. Why did this middle-aged couple just out the blue driving this come up and say, you know what, we're going to come together and we're going to create a lie to say that we was abducted by aliens? They know good damn well as soon as they came out, because think about it, it took about 2 months before they actually came out publicly to really discuss it. Mm-hmm. So during that time, they were debating, people gonna say we crazy. They didn't get no money, no awards, no nothing. So why would these people just out the blue just sit there and just make up something like this? It just doesn't make sense. I can understand people now, but back in the 60s, come on.
That's real.
And back to the Roswell thing, a lot of people say it was a weather balloon and blah, blah, blah. Cool. But why did a military official come out to the newspaper and say, we found the flying saucer? Now, this man represents the military. He was a spokesman. So why in the hell would he come out? It's a weather balloon. He's seen plenty of weather balloons because they was used as spy materials to spy on Russia, and Russia did the same thing to us. How would he not know there was a weather balloon and not a flying saucer? Mm-hmm. Come on. Why do we have these former astronauts and stuff like that who know that the government's going to turn against them and try to discredit them, come out anyway and say they were flying saucer? For what? They thrill seekers. They seeking attention for what? What attention are they trying to get? Because they haven't been made famous. Actually, they've been made infamous as outright lies. Why would they just purposely lie for a damn government that they swore and protect to serve and protect if the government wasn't doing something wrong or lying about some information to the people?
That's real. I appreciate it for your thoughts, my brother.
No doubt.
You got any last words for him?
I just want to say to everybody, don't make fun of people who do believe. Because let's think about it. It was less than 600 years ago, motherfuckers thought the earth was flat. So if motherfuckers were thinking the earth was flat, how can you, and then motherfuckers find out it was round, let's go ahead and be open to the possibility that anything is actually possible. Just because it's not possible here doesn't mean it is not possible in the rest of the universe. We're just a speck of sand in the universe.
Gotta keep it real. You know how we do. Appreciate it.
No problem.